We're recording. Welcome
Live.
back, everybody. We have a special guest with us tonight. The first couple on the podcast. Introduce
Okay.
yourself, guys.
My name is Cyndi Freed.
My name's Mao Segura.
Welcome, guys, and
Hey.
thank you for being on.
Thank you for the invite.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
I know you guys are busy, and especially with the little one, but really appreciate you guys being on. With that being said, so where did you guys meet?
Back in Texas.
H-Town, Houston.
H-Town?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so how old were you when you were taken to Houston?
I was taken to Houston. I was about 7,
You were 7,
7, 7, almost 8 years old.
and how old were you guys when you guys met?
I was 19.
I was 17.
Ah, damn.
Yeah.
Some time.
Okay, and then how long were you out there?
I was up there 13 years. Right from when I was 7 until I was about 20, like 19, like almost 13 years.
Yeah, you like just turned 20.
Yeah.
And then were you deported, or did you decide to come back on your own?
I signed the voluntary deportation, but
You
it
didn't
was
leave?
it wasn't voluntary, you know.
I tell everybody I was forcefully relocated.
No, I was voluntarily relocated with my own will against it, you know?
Yeah. So you signed a voluntary deportation, and you were forcefully voluntarily against your will
Voluntarily.
relocated. So were you guys already together at that time?
Yeah.
Yeah, we were together for officially like 4 months.
Yeah, we were like in our start of our
Yeah.
relationship, like boyfriend girlfriend type deal. And that came about.
And did you wait a while to come down when he got sent, or
Oh,
were
no.
you like Kenya that just
No, I was like, I'm coming down as soon as I can. He actually helped pay for my passport. He did pay for my passport and my first plane ticket down. And so I was here 4 months after him.
okay?
And then since then, I've been here.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I know for you it was much harder adapting to the
Oh, yeah.
lifestyle here.
Yeah, because
Uh,
I knew no Spanish when I first got down here. And so it was the first time I was ever out of the country, and I was down here for like 6 months for the first time.
Yeah.
And
but
so
how was it? How was it for you, Mel? Like you being back after 13 years. I mean, you left as a kid, you came back as an adult, and now like you're not only just getting back on your feet on your own, adapting on your own, but you have a significant other with you that you got. Like
It
it's
was a new life. I don't know how to explain it any other. I mean, I recall like the deportation day, like the sentence day, where like it was like a straight up laugh in the face, from the judge, just like, like, well, I've had my whole life here, I've gone to school here, and his response was just like, okay, well, you'll be able to make do of that in Mexico. Like that's gonna help you a lot. And it wasn't the response I wanted to hear. So whenever I first got here, it was a little bit of shock. You start seeing Mexico,
Mhm.
and it doesn't look like the States, at least where I grew up, it didn't look like it. So it was a little bit different. It was definitely a shock. At first it was like a situation as to what's going on, you know.
Yeah.
But it slowly became reality, and reality settled in, and it was just a matter of making the best out of the situation. And I think I've been able to make it do what I needed to do. Like
Mhm.
I prospered, I think, more here than I would have been staying in the States.
Yeah. Um, it's like you don't really have a choice here, though. That's the way I see it. Like I mean, you do have a choice, but like once you realize that it's a new opportunity, like me, like I tell a lot of people, like I grew up in the system, kind of, like started getting arrested when I was a kid and in and out, and then when I finally did get deported, and after prison and everything, um, and like not listening to my mom and going back and telling her, like, nah, like I'm enjoying my freedom here. Like I'm not tied to a piece of paper. Like I'm not, like there's no conditions in my freedom here. Like I'm good. Like let me just enjoy it, and and I've done good for myself here. So like from prospering and all that, like were you originally from Mexico City? Like did
Yeah,
you shoot
I
down?
was
Yeah.
originally from here. And I get what you're saying with that whole regards, but I think you just mentioned it yourself. It's always about a choice, and growing up, like coming from that Mexican mindset, Mexican culture. My dad was always one to say, like you're not from here, careful what you're doing. Like he was always one to give me good advice and try to steer me
Yeah.
away from problems. But my choice was to just go ahead and be in it, right? My
Yeah.
choice was to go ahead and be part of it. Um, so that kind of led to some problems there, and reason why I'm here now. So like you said, it's always a choice. And one thing that I didn't do over there was live in the system. Over there, I actually try to live the right path. Try to follow the rules. Try to go ahead and get the classes that I need to get done by junior year of high school in order to go to college, and feeling like I was American, right? But I
Hmm.
wasn't, and that was the issue. Like I never had any problem dealing with the culture. I never had any problem claiming who I was. That's what got me here, claiming Mexico. But at the end of the day, I don't feel like I was, someone in the system. I don't feel I was like always out to maybe like go ahead and find myself in those situations. I was I was I was a fucking kid, I was someone that thought was American and sadly wasn't, and doing little things that an American does, and that ended up with my deportation. I mean, we see it now in the news.
Yeah.
If you go ahead and see an American shoot up a school, oh my gosh, mental health. But dear Lord, if it's a Mexican or a black guy shooting up a school, that's no longer mental health.
Yeah.
And that's the one road that I didn't like about the states. It's it's too one way.
Yeah. Um, well, with me, when I say that about the system, like there were like specific points where I tried to like jump back on the right path, right? Because I was trying to. I mean, I was over there from when I was two. Like my English has always been way better than my Spanish, and so forth. And like I remember this one time, bro. I had just gotten off I had just gotten off parole from doing juvie time and shit. So I did parole. I did everything, by the book, working and everything. Boom, boom, boom. I had just gotten off of that, and celebrating. Like I had gone out with some friends celebrating. We got pulled over, um, and because I was a minor and I was intoxicated, I got a ticket. Right. So the dude's like, "Oh, you just got off of you just got off paper. Well, congratulations, you're back on." You know, Whatever. It's a ticket. He's like, all you got to do is just go do a class, and the judge will expunge it. And he's like, you're good. He's like, youngsters always do that. He's like, you'll be good. So somewhere along, like I missed I missed one of the hearings because of work, but I was working, and I was bar backing downtown Denver, and I was getting off like at 2, 3 in the morning. And I remember this one time I got off the bus, um, and it was like 3:30 in the morning, bro. And I happened to get off, like the bus stop I would get off was in front of this porno store on Colfax on the avenue, you know. So I would get off and I would just walk it, you know. It was like a 4 minute, like a 4 block walk, and I had a hoodie on and I had my backpack, all my wet clothes from cleaning the bar and everything in my backpack, and of course during that time, that's when like the baggy style was, so I was dressed baggy and stuff. So I'm walking, had my headphones on, and boom, I'm surrounded by cops. Just barely getting off the bus, bro. Like I didn't do nothing. Like it's not like I like leaned against the glass at the store or stopped by the store or anything. I was just barely walking, bro. I got stopped by the cops. They searched me. They ran my name. I had a warrant. So they took me in for $100 because the arrest warrant was $100. And then the cop let me count my tip money. And I was like, hey man, I was like, look, I just got off of work. I was like, look, I got my clock in slips right here. And then he's like, oh, you got the money on you, you can pay it right now. He's like, you'll be in and out. He took me in, bro. I didn't get off, or I didn't get out of processing till like 7:30 in the morning. Went back, caught the bus, went back home. I had to be back at work at 10 o'clock in the morning the next, that same morning. So, but it was like one of those things that, like, had I not had a warrant, of course, but like, had I been a white boy, no offense, but had I been a white boy, I would have gotten a break,
Well, they wouldn't have even stopped
Yeah,
you.
or they wouldn't even have stopped me. You know,
yeah, exactly.
had I been a black dude, I would have probably gotten beaten up
Oh yeah.
before taking in. But like, I see it like the system, being in the system and having such a long tail did mess up a lot of opportunities for me, because there was ones where my probation got revoked and I was already registered to go to college. So there were like a lot of situations that kind of like just kept throwing me back in. And of course, like if I would have just stayed positive and kept pushing for doing things the right way, I could have done things the right way eventually. But at that point in time, being a knucklehead, and I was a really big knucklehead, I just, fuck it. I'm a Hellraiser. Let's go. It is what it is. Um, but yeah, so you guys got here, Mexico City, turning over a new leaf, and how did your family react with you settling down here? Did they think that you were just coming down to visit and then going back, or did
No,
they know?
I was like very open with them. Like from the moment everything happened, um, I either told him, no, you're not gonna go to Mexico. I'm gonna help you. I'm gonna figure your way out. I was 18. I was very naive, just graduated high school. But once, he actually got on that bus, I was like, oh fuck, okay, I'm going to Mexico. I was actually trying to get here like a couple weeks after him, but because of the passport situation, I couldn't. My parents actually hid my birth certificate, so I couldn't get my passport. But I ended up getting a new passport. I drove like 30 minutes across town, got the passport, no, got the birth certificate. And yeah, I told them, I was like, I'm going for 6 months. That's the visa allowance, and then I'll come back and figure it out. And before my 6 months ended, I messaged my mom. I was like, I like Mexico. I'm gonna go to Texas for a little bit, but I'm coming back for another 6 months. And it was like that until my daughter was born, and she got me my permanent residency. So now I'm just here basically full time.
And then, so going back and forth every 6 months, and then adjusting as a non-Spanish speaking Caucasian female in Mexico City. I mean, like regardless, you being from over there and you being a female, you have a target on your back. Like especially here in Mexico, especially how
That was one of the biggest fears, I think, more from my fam than from hers, because
yeah,
having the Mexican background, they were more fearful about the reality than the reality that my in-laws may have thought that she was coming into.
hmm yeah,
They may have thought one thing, but the reality was another. The reality was that as a Mexican woman, with white skin and you know just light skin, she also suffered, getting her heels jacked coming out of the bus.
yeah,
And speaking of my mom, so she was one that did go ahead and stand up and said, like, I'm fearful for Cyndi. Like, I'm fearful for something happening that you hear in the news.
Yeah.
Very typical, right? Like, I mean,
yeah,
the news is always fearful, I think, both ways. Just like we hear things here on the news about things that are happening over there with school shootings and shootings on the subways, it's the same that they hear about us over here, with like the cartel and the drugs, and which is completely biased. But at the end of the day, it's something that brings a thought to everybody's head. So my family did have more fear of something like what you mentioned
hmm
taking place with her, right? Being taken somewhere, kidnapped somewhere,
Yeah.
abducted somewhere, depending on, I guess, how you like to call it, because you're not a kid, but being
Yeah.
abducted somewhere, having a feminicidio, I don't know,
yeah, yeah. Just there's so many things like just being jacked just because they're like, oh, a
just
white
that,
person.
exactly. I mean, I can recall, one of the first times where she started adventuring out on her own, and it was like, well, it's not that I don't want you to go out, but I want you to go ahead and be safe. Like, at the end of the day, like I don't want to keep you like locked up, but like keeping you locked up is gonna go ahead and keep you safe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Crazy mentality, because that's what they tell us over there, right?
yeah,
I'm gonna keep you locked up to keep them safe. Crazy to see the mentality go both ways, but for me, it was like, it's better for you to stay here than go out there and have something happen, because it is a common thought that I had at that point in time, like, and I
Yeah.
would
I
tell her,
mean, even for me too. I
yeah,
mean,
and I
I
would
was,
tell her, I was like, imagine, like, if, like, hopefully the if doesn't happen, but if something does happen, like, how am I gonna go ahead and respond to my in-laws? Like, how
yeah,
am I gonna tell them, like, I
yeah.
don't know,
How am I gonna look them in the
or
face and
die,
say like,
like,
yeah,
no, but that's one of the reasons why, like in Houston, I can't tell you where anything is. But here in Mexico, I think it's like the first couple weeks here, we had a weird truck like stop and ask us like where the south of the city is, and I'll explain like, oh, if you go towards Las Galerías, and the guy just looked at us and was like, okay. And I remember him telling me that once it was Ugo, right, your cousin,
I don't recall if it was my cousin or if it was my uncle, but it
someone.
might have been a combination of the two. But they were like, you always have to be weary of your surroundings, like, know where you're at, because like, it is pretty common for sometimes people to just kind of like ask you, like, for directions as to, like,
yeah,
hey, where is something so simple as to, like, two streets down and a street to the right, but because you can't answer because you don't know, and then you just became a target here in Mexico City. So I was like, oh wow, okay. So that I always told Cyndi, like, growing up, or like with our experience
Yeah.
growing here, not growing up, but with our experience growing here in Mexico, like, you have to be always ready to, like, say, you that's this way, like, whatever, because you're not gonna be caught like in blank and like
yeah,
not know what to say.
Yeah, and I've actually, whenever I would walk my dog in our old neighborhood, there's been a couple times where people just walked up and they're like, "Where's this street?" or "Where's this?" And then I just guided them. They're like, "Okay, okay." So I felt more comfortable once I started realizing, like, okay, I know more of the city than a lot of people do.
Yeah. I remember when I lived in Mexico City, I lived over there by La Guerrero, over there close to Metro Revolucion and all that.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that, yeah,
Yeah.
We're not far from there.
yeah.
Yeah. So, but like during the time that I lived there was like basically like right down the street, like headed towards like Buena Vista. There was a little area where some Colombians lived, and they were known for jacking fools and pulling them into the vecindario and fucking
What?
them up and shit. Yeah.
Easy.
So they were running those blocks. So my homeboy that had gotten me that room in that place, me and him would go out for beers or whatnot because we both worked at Teletech, and we would both kick it. And then he's like, "Look, my bro." He's like, "Look, my bro. Um, like this way and this way, you're good. This way and this way, like after 9, bro, you're gonna see all the transformers, all the trannies and shit." He's like, "But that way," he's like, "after 9 o'clock, don't even head that way, bro." And I was like, "Why?" He's like, "Oh, all the parceros, all the Colombians are over there, bro. And motherfuckers are gonna jack you." And I'm like, "Shit, say no more. I won't even head that way." I mean,
I don't know if it's just been like our luck of the draw or trying to avoid always like certain situations. Like you said right there, you just try to avoid certain blocks. Um, but I haven't had
No, thankfully we
any
haven't.
sort of situation out of the normal. I'm not gonna say I haven't had like a single situation, like when your phone got jacked,
Oh yeah, on the Metro booth.
but the phone got jacked on the Metro booth. It was a packed,
It was in my front pocket.
it was a
yeah.
packed environment. Um, she doesn't even recall like feeling someone grab it. Like it was just something normal. It would have happened on the New York subway. It would have happened
yeah,
in Philly. It would have happened in Cali. It would have happened in Texas. Like
Yeah.
it's not something that's just like Mexico specific. Um, I think that thing that you mentioned right now with the parceros and everything, it's very normal. I mean, I recall growing up in Houston, working for the Houston Chronicle. Like I would be in areas that I didn't want to be, but it was part of the job, and you would find yourself with the trainees, with everyone,
yeah,
working in the middle of the night because that's the job. You have to deliver the newspaper, so it's between 1, 2 in the morning and 7 in the morning that you have to deliver it. So you get to experience a lot of that nightlife, and you get to experience a lot of things that maybe not the norm gets to see. But I think that a lot of the things nowadays that maybe continue to kind of happen are because of that mindset, because of continuing with thinking that mindset is it's okay. And it's not. I've got to see so many friends that go ahead and claim whatever they want to claim, and friends that want to go ahead and claim that they're fresas. Like whatever you want to go ahead and claim, sometimes other people don't feel it, don't think it, and some of those people nowadays is just impressive. Like yourself. You see what you're doing nowadays with these podcasts. You see what you're doing nowadays, trying to go ahead and break that bond of like or that barrier, more to say that of the fresas of the people that maybe feel
yeah, yeah.
the
Like,
right.
like
Uh,
I just wanted to be available for everybody, bro.
exactly. Like I think like that's more where we're heading towards.
Yeah, like because like I was saying earlier, like this is just the opening layer. Like there's so much. Like I'm already working on a second podcast since I'm paying for this fucking program shit. I'm gonna milk that motherfucker. You know what I mean? So I'm already working on that, and I'm working with or I'm exchanging ideas with the homeboy in Chihuahua, um, on his podcast. You know, trying to get him running and shit. So like just trying to get that going. But yeah, so now that you're settled in, you're trying to keep her safe, trying to figure all that out. What was your first job in Mexico City?
A fondita,
A what?
a fondita, a little
Una
kitchen.
fondita?
Yeah.
Yeah.
De comida or what?
Yeah, that was my first job. I was racking in by about like 2,500, 3,000 pesos a month, just to make it rain.
And on that salary, he still managed to save up for my passport and for
That was
my
the
plane ticket.
craziest, like on a bigger salary nowadays, you can't make ends meet. But when you were making nothing, you could, save up for
Yeah.
your dream.
Yeah. I personally think about that because I remember when I was in Mexico City working at Teletech, and we were barely making 7,000-8,000 a month, and I was drinking, partying every day, and not even going for a full shift to work, you know, and I was still making ends meet, like paying rent, eating, and everything. And then now, like, fuck off one day, and I'm struggling the rest of the month. I mean,
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm making like 3 times what I was, So I was like, yeah, it's crazy, man.
it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't. But yeah, so a fondita, and like, how did you transition to something else? Like, did you find out about call centers? Were you
Yeah.
referred?
No, I found out shortly about it, like a
Like
few months
I
into
would say
him.
almost a year.
Hmm.
Almost a year of him being here. He found
Mhm.
Teletech.
Yeah,
Okay,
little LA.
little LA. And how
I
long?
mean,
How long? Go ahead.
I was like so amazed whenever he found the call center. I was like, wait, so there's jobs here that you speak English? Like,
Yeah, she didn't think there was jobs here.
Yeah, I
closed
I
minded.
didn't think of it either. Like, I knew that there were English speaking jobs, but like in the tourist areas, you know what I mean, like the beaches and shit like that.
Yeah.
But like I didn't think about like, or the hotels, because I
Yeah.
remember when I was still living in Toluca, my tia had found me a job at this hotel that said that they were looking for um English speaking like bellboys and shit. You know what I mean, and when I showed up, I tried wearing a dress shirt and shit, but I'm all blasted and shit. So they're like, "Oh, we're not hiring." I was like, "All right, cool," you know. But so how long were you at Teletech?
None of my jobs lasted more than 6 months here until my current job. Now I'm almost 9 years at my current job. But I think you said something about it earlier. After going through a deportation, after understanding that you ain't gonna see your mom for heaven knows
Mhm.
how long, you kind of give up on a lot of things, and it's just living that day to day. If I
Yeah,
can get by day to day, I'm good. If I can eat day to day, I'm good. If I can party day to day, I'm good. And that was a mentality that I had for probably my first 6, 7 years here.
okay.
Until we got pregnant.
Yeah, bro.
6 years, yeah.
Like about 6 years here. Um, and it's not a bad mentality to have. Everything was paid, everything was met, but nothing else was achieved. So it doesn't help either. After that, I think it's just been a learning experience, and now it's just growth. And to be honest, like seeing what's happening in the U.S. most recently with like the news recently,
Yeah,
rest in peace all the kids out there. But what happened in Texas most recently, man, like for me, as a Mexican, as a human, as a person, it just doesn't sit well to bring my family, bring my girls, bring my daughters into that country. Like it's just sometimes I think we try to run away from where we're at. We think that there's so much greater out there, and we can really make what we need to make here.
Yeah.
There's so many people fleeing here. There's so many Americans, so many Canadians, so many, you name it, fleeing here,
Yeah.
making a life here because their country is not enough.
Yeah.
Like that's just mind-boggling, because if your country hasn't been enough to give you what you need to over there with your kids, because we've seen situations with not just individuals, not just couples, but families, entire families,
Yeah.
where they just choose being American, right? Like here we have an American, we have a Mexican. It's different. We have the need to be here because I can't be over there.
Yeah.
Okay, but they have the paper. They got everything to be over there, and they choose to be down here, and they choose to keep their kids in a private school down here. You know, I no longer seek to go back to the U.S., man. Like, it's no longer for me.
Yeah, you see that. You see that a lot here in Querétaro. In Querétaro, the whole expat community is really really big. Like it's really really booming. Like even here in the privada where I live at, um, this colonia has like a shitload of privadas, but there's like one, two, I think three up. There's a whole family. They're black, but the guy he does like blogs and shit. Because I seen him post up at the park in front of my privada where he's vlogging. Like he sets up his little stand with the light and the cell phone, and he's recording himself, and he's doing whatever.
Yeah.
And I've heard them talking. And one time I kind of like told them because they were upset that about I think it was last year, um what what we were celebrating on September 16th, because here the little plazas here, they were all closing early, or they had already been closed for like since the day before. So there wasn't shit open around. And like we kind of live outside of the city, like a good 40 minutes out. So there ain't shit. And they were like, "Oh man, why is everything fucking closed and shit?" And I happened to be walking by, and I overheard them and shit. And I looked, and I'm like, it's because it's Independence Day, you know what I mean? And they looked, and they're like, "Oh, you speak English?" I was like, "Yeah." They're like, "Oh, okay." They're like, "Oh, okay, thank you." And they went inside and shit. But like here, like you always run into or you tend to run into like a lot of expats that are choosing to come down here, and you always like I'm in the expat group on Facebook, and you always see the post like, "Hey, we're going down to
Hmm.
Querétaro. Um, we're driving down. Can anybody suggest like a safe route,
Yeah.
or what would you suggest? Should I fly or should I take the bus or this and that?" Um, shit like that. So I understand, like I get what you're saying, that you would you see how everybody's just choosing to come down here because they the way I see it is they're choosing the lesser evil with the shit that happens here. Like it's no joke either.
Yeah.
But the shit over there, like when if you really think about it, like there's a lot of fucked up shit going on in the states.
It's like you can
And
go anywhere without like worrying if someone's gonna like
I think
have
it's
a
more
gun.
intrusive in the States. I think you don't have like the ability to say I'm okay doing this. Like here, you know what you're getting into. Like you pretty much know that if something happens to you, it's because you were doing something
yeah,
that you
yeah.
took.
And then like
Over
one
there,
another
now you don't even know. Like over there, you can be a kid going to your school. Here, like how are the schools? Here, the schools are pretty locked up. Even the public schools, you have to
yeah,
like get into a gate to go into a school. Over there, it's as easy to walk into a school as it is to walk into a mall.
yeah,
Most schools have like an open driveway where you can come right to the front, and you can walk right into the building, and you can walk throughout the school, and before someone tells you or questions you, right? And that's not something you can do here.
Yeah, you
Here,
can't do that shit.
schools are even the public schools are private in a way to where you're not going to just be able to walk into that type of building because you want to, you know?
Yeah,
And that's the crazy thing. Yeah, here things happen. Yeah, here it's not the safest at times, but you know where you're stepping, you know what you're doing. And the states our kids nowadays are not even safe.
yeah,
We're on the podcast, really.
yeah. Like one of the things that I've told a couple people, like like a lot of my close friends back in Denver. Anytime like anything like really bad comes out on the news over there that happens here, they'll call me or they'll text me, like asking if I'm okay or this and that. I'm like, yeah, I'm okay. They're like, oh, it's because we saw that this happened and this and that. And I'm like, I'm not even close to there, but yeah, this. But I've,
That's right.
you
Yeah,
know
my
how,
dad used to do that.
yeah,
Too, when I first got here, um, if I didn't like post on Facebook or something for more than a day, he would be
he would
freaking
reach
out.
out.
Yeah, he'd be like, "Are you okay? I haven't seen you online." I'm just like, "Yeah, I just haven't been online." But he used to do that too. There should be some in the corner. Yeah.
It was like that for a while because I deactivated my Facebook for like close to 2 years for
Yeah.
a while, and I would just activate it at like random times during the day, if anything, or I wouldn't activate it at all, and I just left it off for a long time.
Yeah.
So a lot of people would reach out, and the people that have my number more than anything, they
Yeah.
they would call me directly and be like, "Hey, what's going on? Are you hiding, or what happened? Do you need money?" I'm like, no, what the fuck? No, it's because you're not on Facebook and you don't have your Snapchat anymore. Like, what's going on with you? Are you okay? Do you need help? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I'll take the money, but I'm okay.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh man, but that's awesome. You had friends like that would reach out if they
yeah,
didn't see
like,
you online.
well, I guess that was like one of the things that like, I grew up in a black neighborhood,
Yeah.
and like once I started hanging out with like Mexicans and Hispanics and shit, I made like some really good friends, and then from there, like I got like really really close with like a couple homegirls and a couple of some of my other friends, and I was able to see them like um, evolve and grow and get
Yeah.
married and shit like that. I was still over there for that. So like we were still pretty close, until I got locked up and then I got
Yeah.
deported and shit. And even when I first touched down um, here, like we still stayed in touch. Like of course, like it wasn't like an everyday, stay in touch or talk every day type.
Yeah.
Like we're grown ups, like you can't do that anyway. So like
Yeah.
I always understood that, but like every now and then, even now, like they're reaching out to me even more now because of the podcast. They're giving me like constructive feedback,
Yeah.
and
Oh, that's
and
awesome.
and telling me this and telling me that, or telling me because like there's a lot of us, there's a lot of my friends, a lot of my other friends that weren't legal at the time
Yeah.
and that were knuckleheads as well. A lot of them are deported. A lot of them are from Chihuahua, so they're up there too. And they're
Yeah.
like, why don't you have so and so on, or why don't you have this fool on yet, or I'm like, well, them motherfuckers don't want to be on, shit,
Yeah.
you know. But like, so like I stay in touch with them, and I mean, through them, I also hear like a lot of the shit that's going on like in Colorado, and
Yeah.
you know, because it's like one point of view from like them compared to like if I just look it up on the news
Yeah.
or what my mom tells me, because like my mom is Salvadorian, like so she's like that old school Hispanic, Hispanic lady, and she's
Yeah.
just gonna give you her point of view, and you're not gonna get her out of that.
Just a second.
Yeah.
My oldest. Here you go, baby. You're welcome.
I want the paano popcorn.
I don't think we have popcorn.
Paano?
Butter popcorn? Okay. I'll order something Walmart, okay?
O with kind pesado.
Okay. Oh, the child is like obsessed with the OXO.
With Oxo?
Yeah. My mom, you know those little fireworks from the US that you just like throw on the ground? So,
Yeah, the poppers.
yeah, my mom brought some for my daughter last time she was here, and my husband. I don't know which one's having more fun with them. My daughter now.
No, I bet. But they sell those here too.
They do?
Yeah,
I guess I've never been to like a fireworks stand here, so
yeah. Look, there's like if you go like, well, when I buy fireworks in Toluca, I go with like 500 pesos and I get like a big ass crate, and you get like like a whole fucking pack of those poppers.
okay.
Yeah, and I just start fucking chucking them at everybody.
That's what you do.
Yeah, she was
So-
walking into the kitchen and I just threw it up.
So when you guys had your oldest, how was that adjustment? Like, because you guys adjusted and grew up, both of you here,
Yeah.
and then when you got pregnant and you had your oldest,
The oldest
that
had
was
to
that was a whole different adjustment for you and for you.
I think the
So,
oldest just had to kind of grow with us, It's a little different than the mentality that we have with the youngest.
Yeah.
But we're also older now.
But I think the youngest got us at a young age, and she just gotta have to grow with us, and we did good. No, so far I think we've done good.
I tried to like incorporate some like of American holidays and traditions for her here. Like Easter, we do like the coloring of the eggs and
Mm.
Halloween,
little Easter eggs. Yeah, she loves Halloween.
Christmas we do like the
Santa.
elf on the shelf.
Yeah, we do the elf on the shelf and Santa for her.
So we keep up with like some. I mean, she's white, she's American after all. Like
yeah, I guess I was there to experience some of like
we have to keep up with some of those traditions.
my traditions from my childhood while still incorporating her Mexican roots.
Yeah, which I think it's great. Like the way she does it, like the way she incorporates it all. I think it's great. It's been good. It's been working well.
And with the with the schools, because I know that can be a hassle. You guys didn't have any issues like finding a good or a decent enough, or like a good school that could balance out the English Spanish.
Luckily, like the area that we kind of landed into, his family lived in for like 50, 60 years.
Yeah, my grandma's been there for a
So,
while.
My daughter actually, the oldest, goes to the same
School that I
school,
went to.
yeah, that he went to.
My cousin went to.
Yeah, so it was just easily to find because we kind of knew where to
Okay.
go. And I think they do a pretty good job. But virtual school was something else because I mean, I thought my Spanish was good until I had to sit there in her Spanish class and I'm like, wait, what? I would get these homework instructions and I'm like, I don't completely understand. So that's been an adjustment, but thankfully she's back at normal school.
Okay.
But so far, I like the schooling system. I feel like it's more advanced down here.
Yeah, that's something I was telling my mom, that like that the schools here, like because of their setup, and no matter how you look at it, they're strict.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You know, they're strict. And I was telling my mom, I was like, don't underestimate the schools here. I was like, they're pretty advanced. I was like, I remember coming here when I first got here, and I stayed in Toluca and looking at like my cousin's homework when they were in high school. And I mean, I got kicked out of high school way before they, like, you know, but seeing the shit that they were doing, I was like, I never saw that shit in high school.
Exactly.
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, that's how I was.
That's
with
how it
my
was with my cousin. Yeah.
I saw he was doing calculus and he was like 13, 14. I was like, they didn't even offer this at my
Yeah, I
school.
was like,
Yeah.
dude, you're doing college shit. And he was like, no, this is like my school. And I was like,
He was like in middle school.
I was
when
like,
he
dude,
first
that's
got
college.
here.
That's college shit. Like, I'm sorry, but
Yeah.
you know, 1+1, we're still working on that. You know.
Yeah, and like, cause I look at but I think everything's changing also because like I look at my brother, my younger brother, my younger sister. They're 14, 15, or 13, 14, around there, and they're like fully bilingual. Like, you know, they're they're able to speak both English and Spanish well and
Yeah.
read it and write it. When I was that old, I couldn't do that shit. Like, I couldn't fucking speak Spanish like that. But they grew up with like the ESL classes where they had that. And when I
Yeah.
was in school, they didn't have that shit. You know, like it was like English, bro. Go ahead. You know what I mean, and then like
Oh
my
yeah.
mom, yeah,
That
and
was
then like
yeah.
my mom never enforced the Spanish on me. You know, like I was just talking English in the house and talking English to her, and she never enforced like, cabrón, háblame en español. You know, like it was just always English. So it got to the point where like all I did was just speak English. You know, um, but yeah, if and when I ever have a little mini me, I'm gonna I'm gonna fucking be strict on them. And
You got
supposed
to.
to,
You gotta let them. You gotta let them run wild. You know, but to its own degree. You know.
yeah, and then
Definitely. Yeah, like put some thought behind it. You know, like they have to appreciate what they got.
well, I think the running wild part here in Mexico, you could still kind of like let a kid enjoy being a kid, like it was for like us being kids back in the States. Like I still remember running around all day outside on the bike, on rollerblades, or on the skateboard, or fucking playing flag football and you know, on the street, shit like that. Compared to like the later generations that they're just stuck on their phone, or like you tell them to go outside and play, and they'll just go sit on a curb with their phone
Oh,
type
and
shit.
even if
You
they're
know?
gonna stay on the phone, you know, we just gotta we we as the adults, you know, we as our generation, we also have to try to seek a change to line up to their generation because maybe being on the phone is not all that bad, but um, if maybe they can learn how to code and how to do, you know, programming and little things like that that are just nowadays all that technology and life is basically about. That's not bad, you know, like it's not all about playing a video game on thing or being on social media or watching just videos back and forth, you know. Do something else, you know, like use that power of technology to your favor.
Well, yeah, of course, I agree with that. But I'm saying like still, mhm, you know, forcing them to have that or enjoy that physical aspect of knowing what it's like to be a kid and running around and busting their ass, like if they try to climb a tree and falling off the tree,
Yeah.
or you know, just shit that shit that I remember when I was a little bastard running around, and you know, like breaking a window when you were playing baseball or some shit, or playing catch,
Yeah.
you know, shit like that. You're like, yeah, you got in trouble for it, but at the as a kid, you're like, damn, you know, we were like little knuckleheads running around in the street,
Or
You
like
know?
throwing a cat down, like, 2-story floors, You're just a kid,
Right?
I mean, you're just a kid, right? You didn't
I
know
was
better. You were just throwing a
4.
cat, right? The cat-
There's a good story behind that. Why did you have to bring it up?
I was just giving examples like you were. Yeah, but I get it, bro. Sometimes we're just kids, but
I think that's the only downside of living in the city and raising children is that it's not like I can just tell my 5-year-old, oh yeah, go outside and play, 'cause
Yeah.
right outside like the street. But I guess she did get to experience some of that in Playa when she got to like ride her scooter and rollerblade around like her little.
But here we
privada.
could do it too. It's just a matter of doing it different. It's like in the States, in the States you went outside in the cul-de-sac and you played on the street, and when the car came, you watched out.
I
Here you
guess
just have to
so.
watch out a little bit more often.
I guess I guess so, but
Here the cars come a little bit more often. We don't have cul-de-sacs, We have two-way lanes, and even if they're one-way lanes, they're two-way lanes. So watch out, kids. Like,
And they might not even honk at you. They'll just
yeah,
drive by really fast. Quitas a la verga.
yeah. Watch out, kids. That was your warning.
So with you being at your current job for over 9 years, and what do you do in your spare time, Cindy? Like what do you do? Like, are you just a housewife
That's
pretty
me.
much?
That's their time.
no, I do work. I work for a newspaper company up in the U.S.
Uh-huh.
and I also work for a travel agency. So, if
SS
you,
VIP Travel.
yeah,
Hit us up if you ever want something,
look us up on Instagram. We got
How many
Tyler
how many
Carmen,
minutes of
Salud.
fame do I have? Hit us up, Cindy on IG, La Güera on TikTok 92 underscore. I don't know what it's
No,
called.
it's underscore. Got 92.
No,
But
yeah, shoot me your links. I'll add them in the description
yeah,
on the
yeah,
episode.
because that's my whole like I guess TikTok thing is just showing my everyday life
Yeah,
in
like
Mexico,
it's in
and
Mexico, bro.
a lot of people have seemed to be interested in my life
About
here in
17,000 followers to be exact,
Damn, that's like a cult following.
Yeah,
We're ready for
That's
podcast number 2, to be honest,
do it, man. Start one up.
Yeah, no.
It's so easy. I mean, like if you like
No, I'm
once
saying
you
we're ready
know,
for podcast number 2. You said you had another podcast coming.
yeah, the second one, I'm actually like leaning towards like a horror one,
Oh, she likes horror.
like horror,
I won't be gassed, dude.
or comedy, but I'm leaning more
Like that,
towards
dude.
like.
I won't be a guest, but she will.
Yeah, like because I remember I still managed to like listen to La Mano Peluda,
Okay.
so do some shit like that, like probably like something more focused like on like urban legends of like Mexico City or where anybody lives, like my homeboy Chihuahua would be like, all right, fool, like you're gonna be on, get familiar with like urban legends in your area, you're gonna come on, you're gonna tell them.
We've seen some like
You know what I mean?
buildings that still have like the post of like this such and such person passed away at such and such time here. So I don't know who those people are, but we can talk about them.
we can talk about Frederick.
Yeah,
got
things like that, um, and then working out the scheduling on like who would be on there with me, um, like if it would be like alternating people, so if I'm going back and forth. So yeah, so I mean, just throwing down ideas on how that would work, because this one is basically just me doing everything, like event, like I want to do more live recordings, like I have all the equipment and everything, um but just not everybody, not
Out.
everybody's schedule meets up with mine.
Make me sound good. You gotta edit me out. Wherever you
Blurb.
can. You know?
give you like a deeper voice and shit.
No, just just wherever I said something that I wasn't supposed to say, just edit that
Oh yeah, that happens.
out.
Trust me,
But
there's
give
been
the opportunity 100%. I love seeing what you're doing, like trying to let people know that the other side uh, of the coin,
yeah.
it's crucial.
Yeah.
And I think it's more crucial to like help our people get a little bit away from that mindset. Make that American dream happen here. We got a lot of things to do here. We got a lot of people that are coming, a lot of gringos, a lot of gabachos that are coming here and making the white dream happen.
No,
Uh,
but I would want to remove the American part from the dream. Why not just make your dream
Exactly.
happen?
That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying. Like you don't have to go over there to the U.S. to live the American dream. You can make that dream happen here.
Yeah.
It's just a dream, Like
Yeah.
like you said, remove that American word out of it. It's just a dream, and that dream can happen everywhere. And like I said, like there's people that are really doing it here that are not from here. For
Yeah.
us that are from here to not be able to make it happen, like it's a question to ask ourselves as to what are we not doing right, what are we doing
Yeah.
wrong?
Like
Look,
I've met here
other-
in Querétaro, I've met like so many people from like worse off countries like Venezuela, and they're business owners, bro.
Yeah.
that's what I'm
Like,
saying.
bro, like what the fuck?
And you
I'm like,
gotta
how long have you been here? Oh, hermano, 3 años.
quick,
God
like just the
damn.
mentality, like and sadly a lot of our mentality is to make it happen over there. No, we gotta start switching that. And our own
Yeah.
people, we gotta start switching that, like make it happen here, do what you need to do here, and go enjoy, go vacation, be in Cancun, be in all the Caribbean islands that you have here available in Mexico, travel to Europe. Like the US is just a piece of it, and the US might have formed us, like and brought a lot of us together. Um, but it's not all that it's set to be, and if we're here, it's for a reason, and let's just make that reason pop.
Yeah, like I told a couple other people, like if I ever was to like decide to relocate again, I am not going back to the States. I'm going to like Europe. I'm going to like Ireland or some shit, somewhere out there. Just explore something new, something different, Like
Yeah.
I have a friend that got deported to El Salvador, and he was in El Salvador for like a couple months. He borrowed money, and now the last 8 years, yeah, 8 years, he's been in Milan,
Wow.
and now he owns like a like a small beer distribution company, some shit, where he distributes some locally, some beer from like Germany or some shit. But like
That's
it's
awesome.
like shit, like you weren't
Yeah.
doing shit in fucking El Salvador, bro. And now you have that,
Yeah, that's
you
crazy.
know? Yeah.
That's crazy.
So with all that, what are you guys aspiring to next? Or like I know you're a TikTok star and social media uh up and coming mogul,
Yeah, inspiring.
entrepreneur, self-help
I wanna
guru.
become real estate freaking guru, man. Like
Yeah.
We're trying to get.
I'm
more
trying to
into-
I'm trying to hit that project and make that project hit back. Like right now it's the first one, and of course, whenever you're playing with the bank's money, which is the only money you can really play with, because I don't have money like that. It's a little tough, makes it a little challenging. It's not undoable, but when you put a 20-year contract on a project that's supposed to make you money, it's a little daunting. Is it going to be
Yeah.
after 20 years or is it going to be now? Because I'm ready to go on to like the next project already. So that's our idea right now. Like,
Yeah,
Hmm.
and I think it's gonna hit off good because the area that we were able to buy in, we already see a lot of
growth.
growth, and a lot of people are looking to like rent in that area for like vacation home or like long term. So, and like we bought in Playa del Carmen, and that area is growing anyway. So
Okay.
we're hoping for the best with that.
Oh yeah. So besides all of that, and it sounds like you guys have found it from the way back from the birth of your first child. But have you guys found your peace in Mexico? Or are you guys still looking? Or you guys are still building it?
No, I mean, I found it. I mean,
Found what?
our peace in Mexico.
Like our pieces in what? Like as in my like peace of mind? Yeah.
Like, I guess peace of being here.
Peace of being here. Not yet.
No,
I'm still,
your peace of
I'm still
mind, your peace in Mexico, however you
my
consider it.
Mexico, I want in Puerto Vallarta. So once I get that, then I'll find myself. Once I can afford Puerto Vallarta and the hills of Puerto Vallarta, um, which they call Conchas Chinas, then I'll find myself accomplished in Mexico, and I will feel like I have my little piece of Mexico. Until then, I'm just working. Whether
Okay.
it's in my own projects, whether it's for somebody else, whether it's hustling. Right now, I'm just working, but that's gonna be my goal. Once I have my piece of Puerto Vallarta, then I have my piece of Mexico and my piece of mind.
And what got you, or what pushed you guys towards real estate?
Um, there ain't nothing else. I mean, everybody looks for having. Everybody needs a roof over their heads.
Hmm.
Um, everybody seeks to have the best roof possible over their heads, and if we can be one of the ones to provide that roof for somebody at one point in time, whether it's vacational or long term, I think that's key.
And plus, who doesn't want to come visit the Mexican Caribbean?
Besides that, but I think like even if we move away from the Mexican Caribbean, just having like room for somebody, I think it's worth it.
That's true.
Okay. Wow. Yeah.
Property never loses value by the way I see it either. So
That's
just buy
true. It only
planta
goes up.
alta, 'cause if you buy planta alta and it goes down, I don't know what happens after that.
Okay. So with you being at this point in your life, being a real estate up and comer,
Yes,
TikTok celebrity,
yes, sir.
would, what would you guys say to the next person, or the next couple of people that might hear this or that might see this, that are probably on the verge of having to take off from the States, coming
If you've
here?
been deported or if you're about to be deported, that's just the beginning. Like
Yeah, like life's not over after that. There's a whole nother country
there's
that
life
you're gonna
after
be born.
deportation. Like you're fine.
There's a lot of opportunities here, especially if you kind of exploit the fact that you speak English. There's a lot of good jobs.
The moment you think it's not fine is when it's not going to be fine and when things are just going to go sour. So just don't lose that will to continue on striving.
And
Yeah.
don't compare to the U.S. because
Don't compare to the US.
it's completely different.
We're not the US. We're better.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. Well, thank you guys for being on and giving me the time.
Oh, thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Thank you for the opportunity and sharing a little bit of what's made us who we are here today. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
And appreciate it, and hope you guys have a good night. Again, thank you for being on. This is hopefully this will be part one. Like I said, I told other people I want to do eventually I want to get to like doing a part two with everybody, do like a live recording,
Yeah.
and then be like, hey, this is a second part, follow up with them,
Yeah.
Follow up, yeah.
then we can brag about Cindy's celebrity status on TikTok and her vlogs and all that shit.
Yes.
And then
Yes.
the real estate moguls and shit,
Hope.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. It's gonna happen. Watch.
Keep on striving. Yes, baby.
Oh, yeah.
All right, guys. Well, appreciate it, man. You guys have a good night.
Have a good night.
Appreciate it. You too. Have a good night.
Take care, and we'll keep in touch.
Yes,
For
sir.
sure.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.